You ever just stop and think about how connected everything is now?
Uh-huh.
I mean, you picture Columbus, sailing off, thinking he's going to hit India by going west. Bit of a miss there, but hey, prove the world wasn't flat, I guess.
Right. A different kind of flat world back then.
Totally. And then, like this morning, I'm flying to Frankfurt, 30,000 feet up, and my phone's just pinging away with GPS.
Hmm.
It feels like the world shrunk.
It really does. And that feeling, that shrinking world, it's not just about faster planes.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that. It points to this fundamental shift, this interconnectedness. That's really what Thomas Friedman was digging into in The World is Flat.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
book, the whole idea of a level playing field, where suddenly it doesn't matter so much where you are. Individuals, companies, they can connect, compete.
Collaborate on a scale that was just, well, unimaginable not that long ago.
Right. And this deep dive, this is really for you, the learner. If you're curious about these huge global changes, not just theory, but what's really driving them and what it means for, well, for your life.
Yeah, the goal today is to unpack that flattening, pull out the most surprising bits, the practical things you can actually use, but keep it straightforward, no dense academic stuff.
We're looking straight at Friedman's work,
Yeah.
nailing down those key forces he identified, and, more importantly, what does it all mean for you, like the real-world impact?
That's the core question, isn't it? How did we get here, so interconnected, and what are the actual practical things you need to think about now?
Okay, let's dive in. Friedman says this didn't just happen overnight. It was like a whole bunch of big things hitting at once.
That's right. He lays out 10 specific forces, a real mix, big political moments, tech breakthroughs, even specific companies playing a huge role, all converging to reshape things.
Got 10 flatters. Okay, let's start with number one. 1989. That date probably rings a bell for a lot of people.
Oh, definitely. November 9th, 1989, the Berlin Wall coming down. Symbolically, that was massive.
Yeah.
It signaled this global shift, moving away from those divided, controlled systems towards, well, democracy, free markets. It kind of opened the floodgates for connection.
So, walls literally coming down politically. But Friedman links this to another kind of window opening up around then. Microsoft Windows. How does software fit in?
Well, think about it. The wall falls, and there's this surge, this desire to connect. But what were the tools people actually used? That's where personal computers, made much easier to use by things like Windows, came in.
Ah, okay, so more people could actually use a computer.
Exactly. It built the basic infrastructure for people to start interacting digitally across borders in a much bigger way.
Right. Politics unlocks the desire. Tech provides the means. Okay, what's flattener number two?
August 9th, 1995. 890.95. That was the day Netscape went public.
Netscape. Wow, blast from the past for some of us. Dial-up sounds ringing in my ears.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was way more than just an early browser. Its impact was huge.
How so?
Netscape basically made the internet accessible to ordinary people. Before that, it was mostly academics, techies.
Right, very clunky.
Netscape opened up the World Wide Web browsing, finding info, not just email to everyone. It democratized the whole thing.
It's funny to think how people were skeptical about the internet's business potential back then.
Oh, absolutely. But Netscape's IPO, that was a massive signal. It basically screamed, there's huge potential here. And it kicked off this explosion of growth, making the web what it is today.
Okay, so walls are down, windows are up, the web is accessible, people are connected like never before. What's next? What do they want to do?
Exactly. That leads to flattener number 3, workflow software. People were online, but they needed to do more than just browse. They wanted to collaborate, design things, run businesses.
Ah, so moving beyond just looking at stuff online.
Right. The old ways, paper shuffling between departments, just couldn't keep up. Workflow software let you digitize those processes.
Like a sales order, instead of passing paper around.
Precisely. The order comes in, goes to shipping, triggers an invoice, all electronically, seamlessly, across different computers, even different countries. Friedman points out what a huge leap in efficiency this was.
And it wasn't just within one company, right? It connected different businesses too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. This period also saw things like online banking systems starting to talk to each other, e-commerce platforms taking off. Think early PayPal. It leveled the playing field for buying and selling online. Friedman mentions eBay being surprised by how much PayPal changed things.
Makes total sense. Connect, transact easily.
Yeah.
Suddenly you can do business globally.
Hmm.
Okay, that brings us to number 4. Open sourcing. This one always felt really kind of disruptive.
It really is. Open sourcing is about these communities self-organizing, building stuff together, and then sharing it freely. The classic example Friedman uses is Apache.
Apache, the web server software.
That's the one, powers a massive chunk of the internet.
Yeah.
And it was built and is maintained by a global community for free.
There's that great story about the IBM guy, right?
Oh, yeah, Alan Cohen at IBM running their
Yeah.
e-commerce stuff, big budget. And he hears about Apache, this top-notch web server, free. He literally asked how much it cost to buy.
And they told him.
Just download it and support. The community handles it. It just works. It completely blew his mind. A totally different model of innovation.
A giant like IBM being stumped by free community-built software. That says a lot.
It really does. And it wasn't just Apache. Think Linux, too. A huge open source success story challenging the big commercial operating systems.
And this goes beyond software, right? Like Wikipedia. The whole intellectual commons idea.
Exactly. Wikipedia is a perfect example. Millions contributing, sharing knowledge freely. It's incredible. Of course, Friedman notes the flip side. Openness means you have to be careful about accuracy. Misinformation can spread.
Sure, you need to be critical.
But for you, the listener, it means access to an unbelievable amount of information, mostly free. What you do with it, how you verify it, that's the key.
Absolutely. Okay, Flattener 5. Outsourcing. We hear this word all the time, but Friedman has a specific take.
Yeah, his definition is key. It's about companies breaking down work into specific pieces, specific tasks, and then hiring another company, or even individuals, often somewhere else in the world, to do just that piece, wherever it can be done best or cheapest.
He talks about visiting Infosys in India early on. What struck him?
He met people there who just seemed incredibly versatile. Like, in one interview, someone could talk tax prep, then computer problems, then graphic design. It showed the depth of talent emerging, ready to take on different kinds of work.
And the scale of it became enormous, didn't it?
Huge. Nandan Nilekani from Infosys told Friedman they were processing thousands of U.S. tax returns remotely. It really hammered home the point. If work can be digitized, standardized, it can probably be outsourced.
Okay, so what's the direct message here for, say, professionals in the U.S. or Europe? This sounds potentially scary.
It's a major shift. Friedman quotes Rajesh Rao, also from Infosys, saying professionals everywhere need to focus more on the touchy-feely service stuff.
Touchy-feely, like what?
Leadership, building relationships, creativity, complex problem solving, the things that are uniquely human, harder to just digitize and ship off. If your job is easily broken down into routine steps, you need to be adding value in other ways. That's the crucial takeaway for you.
Can you give a practical example?
Sure. Think of a CPA, an accountant in California. Maybe they used to do all the tax prep themselves now. They might manage teams in Delhi, each specializing in taxes for different states. The CPA focuses on the client relationship, the strategy, overseeing it all. The Delhi teams handle the detailed processing. It lets the CTA scale up.
And it's not just basic stuff being outsourced anymore.
Not at all. It's moved way up the value chain. Financial analysis, research. Friedman mentions Bangalore processing complex financial news for Reuters super fast.
Yeah.
High-level skills are global now.
Okay, so outsourcing is farming out tasks.
Yeah.
Flattener 6, offshoring is different, right?
Yes, distinct. Offshoring is when a company moves an entire operation, like a whole factory, lock, stock, and barrel to another country, usually driven by lower labor costs or better manufacturing conditions.
And the classic example there is China becoming the world's factory.
Exactly. Companies flocked there, even from places like Japan, despite, difficult histories. Friedman tells this story about a Japanese company in Dalian, China.
What were they doing?
Data entry. Chinese workers were digitizing handwritten Japanese documents, even architectural plans for Japanese homes. Decades after World War II. It's a powerful image of economic forces overcoming history.
Wow. That really drives home the interconnectedness.
It does. And Friedman captured this sentiment from a Chinese professional, basically saying, okay, maybe we're the bricklayers now doing the manufacturing, but we want to be the architects eventually.
Yeah.
Designing, innovating, that's the ambition.
You can feel that ambition. Okay, Flattener 7. Supply chaining. When you say supply chain, I immediately think Walmart.
They're the poster child, absolutely.
Yeah.
Walmart's system, their logistics, their IT connecting suppliers, warehouses, stores, it's incredibly sophisticated. That's how they get those low prices.
It's more than just buying cheap stuff in bulk, though.
Oh, much more. It's constant communication with manufacturers using real-time sales data to manage inventory, always finding ways to shave costs out of the chain. Friedman tells of a Japanese businessman who initially just saw Walmart as a discount store, but then he realized the sheer efficiency of the system behind it all. selling everything incredibly efficiently.
And it's not just Walmart.
No, UPS is another great example Friedman uses. Their package tracking tech is amazing, but also how deeply they integrate with their clients. They might even do final assembly or customization inside their own warehouses for a client.
Really? So UPS becomes part of the client's manufacturing process.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
It saves the client money, makes them more flexible. It's deep supply chain collaboration.
Okay, so we've got work going out, outsourcing, offshoring, goods flowing efficiently, supply chaining. Flattener 8 turns that around a bit. Insourcing. What's that?
Insourcing is when a company brings another company inside its own operations to take over and run a whole function.
So not just doing a task, but managing a whole department.
Exactly. The key example Friedman uses is UPS. Imagine UPS employees working at a computer company site, managing their entire returns process.
Ah, so UPS isn't just picking up boxes, they're running the whole returns desk.
Precisely. Bringing specialized expertise right into the host company's workflow, blurring the lines between the companies.
Interesting. Okay, shifting gears again. Flattener 9. Informing. This feels huge, very personal. Google, search engines.
Immense impact. Informing is about the power you now have as an individual to find information for yourself instantly. Just look at the explosion in Google searches over the years.
It's totally different from the old days, right? TV news, newspapers,
Yeah,
information flowing one way.
completely. Friedman quotes Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, saying search is about self-empowerment. You find what you need instead of just getting what's fed to you. It flips the broadcast model on its head.
And it's not just finding info, right? People are creating it too, publishing online.
Definitely. Blogs, social media, forums, individuals become publishers, forming communities around shared interests, sharing knowledge, opinions, creations globally.
But Friedman also mentions a downside, a flip side to all this easily accessible info.
Yeah, increased transparency. Which sounds good, but it also means it's much easier to find information about other people. He uses the example of his daughter Googling potential college roommates before meeting them.
Right, checking people out online is totally normal now.
It is. So tons of info available, but also less privacy, and your online reputation matters more. It's powerful, but you need to be aware.
A double-edged sword for sure. Okay, finally, Flattener 10. The steroids. What are these? They sound like they boost everything else.
That's exactly what they do. The steroids are technologies that amplify and turbocharge all the other 9 flatteners. Think wireless internet, digitization, mobile phones, virtual collaboration tools, personalization.
Can you give some examples of how they supercharge the others?
Sure. Wireless means you can access outsourced data or check supply chain info from anywhere. Friedman mentions a doctor pulling up the latest medical studies on a PDA right there during a presentation.
Instant access.
Digitization allows massive amounts of data from outsourced work, from supply chains, from search engines to be processed and sent globally super fast. Think Moore's law constantly boosting computing power. Mobile phones put communication, information, collaboration, even payment right in your pocket. Virtual tools let outsourced teams or supply chain partners work together like they're in the same room.
That Rolls-Royce engine example Friedman uses is pretty wild.
Isn't it? A jet engine flying over Greenland, constantly sending performance data via satellite back to engineers in the UK.
So they can spot problems before they happen.
Exactly. Proactive maintenance, remote troubleshooting in real time. That's the steroids, wireless, digital, mobile, virtual, amplifying everything.
Okay, so those are the 10 flatteners. But Friedman says the real magic, the big acceleration, happened when they all started working together, converging. He calls it the triple convergence. What was that?
Right. Around the year 2000, you had those 10 flatteners becoming widespread. That was the first part of the convergence. But then 2 other things happened alongside them.
Which were?
Second, businesses started developing new processes, new ways of organizing work to actually use all this new technology effectively. And third, people workers, consumers, became much more comfortable and skilled at using these tools in their everyday lives.
He used Southwest Airlines letting people print their own boarding passes as an example.
Perfect example. For that to work, you needed lots of people with PCs and internet. You needed enough bandwidth. You needed the software to make it easy. And you needed passengers willing and able to actually do it themselves.
All those pieces had to click together.
Exactly. The technology alone wasn't enough. You needed the new business process, online check-in, and the user adoption. When all 3 converged, that's when things really took off.
It explains why maybe the early internet boom didn't immediately boost productivity everywhere. Businesses and people had to catch up Figure out how to best use it?
Precisely. The tech was the foundation, but the real flattening accelerated once we all learned how to build on it, integrate it into how we work and live.
Okay, we've covered the 10 forces, the convergence. Now, the crucial bit for everyone listening,
Yeah.
the so what. What are the real actionable takeaways from this flattened world? What does it mean for you?
The absolute number one thing, adaptability and continuous learning. It's non-negotiable now. Friedman talks about Nandan Nilekani's idea of fungible versus non-fungible work.
Fungible means replaceable, easy to swap out.
Basically, yeah, work that can be easily digitized, broken down into standard steps. That's the kind of work vulnerable to outsourcing or automation. Non-fungible work relies on uniquely human skills.
And Nilekani said you need to be skillfully adaptable and socially adaptable. What does that mean in practice?
Skillfully adaptable means constantly learning new things, updating your skills to match what the market needs. Socially adaptable means being able to work well with different kinds of people, often in teams spread across the globe, across cultures.
Friedman's friend, Bill Greer, the graphic designer, is a good example of this.
A great example. Graphic design went digital. Bill had to learn all the new software, sure, but he also had to find new niches, like creating those morph images for magazines to stay competitive. He adapted his skills.
So for listeners, the message is actively develop those non-fungible skills. What kind of skills are we talking about?
Things like creativity, coming up with new ideas, innovation, complex problem solving, dealing with messy issues without easy answers, leadership, especially guiding remote or diverse teams, and really strong communication and interpersonal skills, building trust, collaborating effectively. These are the human advantages.
Friedman also doesn't shy away from the increased global competition. That sounds intense.
It is. Rajesh Rao's quote is blunt. The world is a football field now, and you've got to be sharp to be on the team. You're not just competing locally anymore, it's global.
So the actionable insight is,
You have to be proactive, constantly sharpen your skills, stay informed, stay relevant. You have to actively choose to be in the game.
and this global competition applies to education too, not just jobs.
Absolutely. More students are moving globally for education, but also top-tier universities are emerging everywhere. Friedman mentions Tsinghua in China. The U.S. doesn't have the monopoly it once did. For you as a learner, it means seeking the best opportunities wherever they might be.
He also floats this idea of a potential ambition gap. What's that about?
The worry is that maybe people in some developed countries who've had it relatively good might lack the intense drive you see in places where this flattened world represents a huge chance for advancement.
So the lesson is don't get complacent.
Exactly. Keep that hunger to learn, to grow, to achieve. Don't assume past advantages will last forever. You need that internal drive.
It's a definite nudge to stay motivated. And even old assumptions, like Western education automatically equals more creativity, get questioned. By Bill Gates, no less.
Yeah, Gates basically says don't underestimate the innovation coming out of systems that might seem more rote learning focused. Talent is talent, and it's emerging everywhere. Different paths can lead to innovation. It's a reminder to respect diverse approaches and capabilities globally.
So for people already in the workforce, what's the key adaptation strategy?
Become a versatilist. That's Friedman's term. Someone who can do multiple things, learn new skills quickly, pivot between roles. Deep specialization in one narrow thing might be risky now. Adaptability and breadth are becoming more valuable.
Friedman mentions compassionate flatism briefly. What's the core idea there? It's not detailed policy, but
It's essentially acknowledging that while we embrace the benefits of this flat world, the efficiency, the innovation, we also need to think about those who get left behind or struggle to adapt. It's about finding ways, through government or community efforts, to cushion the blows and provide pathways for people to adjust, balancing the economic forces with social support.
okay, let's try to really crystallize the main takeaways for everyone listening. If you remember just a few things from this deep dive, what should they be?
First, understand this isn't temporary. The world has fundamentally changed because of these flatteners and their convergence. It's the new reality.
Okay, takeaway one, it's real and permanent. What's number two?
Second, this interconnectedness brings both massive opportunities and real challenges for you personally. It's not inherently good or bad, it just is. You need to navigate it.
Two, opportunities and challenges. Third,
Adaptability and lifelong learning aren't optional extras anymore. They are essential for success. You absolutely have to cultivate unique, non-automatable skills. Keep learning.
three, adapt and learn continuously. Fourth,
Competition is global. period. You
Mhm.
need to be proactive, constantly improving your skills, staying engaged, because talent can come from anywhere now.
4. Compete globally, stay sharp. And the final, overarching point.
Technology enables all of this. It's the engine. But how you understand it, how you adapt to it, how you use it strategically, that's what determines whether you thrive. Tech is a tool. Your skill in using it is what matters.
Those are incredibly powerful points. It really makes you think about your own skills, your own approach to work and learning. Understanding these shifts isn't just interesting, it feels necessary now for navigating the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it gave you some valuable insights, maybe a few of those aha moments.
And maybe take a moment after this to think, which of these 10 flatteners feels most relevant to your world, your job, your industry, your interests? Just identifying the forces at play in your own life is a really powerful first step.
That's great advice. And here's one last thought to leave you with. In a world where the playing field keeps getting more and more level, what's the unique, indispensable value that you are going to bring to the game? Something to really ponder.